And Green, but again, same thing. He does his Rumble show. It's very much.
Let's about that. Mics are on. Quickly.
Is this too far away?
Yeah, it's a bit too far away.
Okay.
For the SM7B.
You're looking a bit low and lazy, mate. Please get into the zone.
No, I want to talk about Rumble. That's why I interrupted to do an actual introduction. Join on the pod today, Mark Di Stefano, third-time guest, first time.
Record-breaking
third time.
The first and only person to crack 2 episodes, and now the first and only
Do you
person
know, honestly,
to crack 3rd.
You don't realise this is a massive compliment to my ego because you guys are tastemakers. You
Oh,
guys
thank
have
you.
really good
Taste.
You have really good taste, and also every time I do appear, I get like a few dozen people texting me being like, "You're on Down Round." And I'm like, yeah, man, I know those guys.
What?
And they're like, how do you know them? How do you know Raph James? I'll be like, explain it.
Way back.
No, I explain it. I'll be like, I know Hanno from his days at Pedestrian. I know Raph like through a friend. And they're in awe. They're like, oh, they're so cool.
Oh, that's very lovely.
I feel like you're lying, but you know what?
I'm actually not lying. Genuinely, I can't wait for the text messages to come in after this is published.
We're going to talk about AI and journalism and whatnot.
Talk about whatever.
Or we're going to talk about whatever. Like, let's be honest. Yeah, we're pressing record and continuing the conversation. Welcome to entering the room. Actually, I'm already off track because I want to talk about Rumble. I used to hate the end of songs, the fade out. You know how songs would fade out. I was like, it's so annoying and so lazy. Like, it's so lazy. Why would you do that? But then this,
I think it's beautiful. The song goes forever.
Well, exactly. This record producer called Scott Horscroft. Shout out to Scott Horscroft, who's produced the biggest Australian records, Empire
Is
of the
Scott
Sun.
Horscroft a listener? Is he going to be listening?
He won't be listening to this.
Okay. I'm glad you got a shout out there.
People who know him will be listening. But he told me when we were recording with him at The Grove, the most beautiful studios to record it in Australia by far, they're not turning down the volume on the song. The band keeps playing You're Exiting the Room.
Oh,
And I was like,
that is actually, that's quite poetic.
from then on, I was like, let's just fade out every single one of our songs.
Why am I leaving? Why am I leaving the room?
You're not really. Like, you got a little glimpse.
Do I have an appointment?
You got a little glimpse, and now it's time for you to go.
Is my train leaving?
So, but then there's that suggestion, right? It's a bit philosophical. So the song keeps going when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
If you're not around to hear it, are they still playing?
And this is what
I'll leave that to the philosophers.
Exactly. Let us not delve into the holy mysteries of the record studio.
But in this case, you've walked into the room and we're halfway
exactly.
into
That's what I'm saying. We're just turned up the volume.
A conversation about Rumble.
Rumble.
Do you actually do you care about Rumble?
I don't care about it, but
I'm
I was going to
intrigued by
ask you guys, like, is it happening? Because and Kick now as well, it seems to be the other platform.
We did an episode about this where we talked about how every platform that exists has an anti-woke opposite, a Wario.
Yeah.
Kick is the Twitch one. Rumble is the YouTube one. And there's a handful of other ones as well. I'm pretty sure they've got their own crowdfunding. They've got their own... And the pitch is that it's not woke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they let you sound off and do whatever.
So the success of YouTube is built off the back now that it is like the front page of the video internet, right? Like if you want to watch a video, you like Google it and then it'll like take you to the Jon Stewart clip from that time or whatever it is. But the question is, there are all these YouTube stars. Like take, for example, Candace Owen, right?
Yep.
She like spews all these like anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. She'll go on and on about how, you know, the Christian pogrom of Stalin was worse than the killing of the Jews by the Nazis. I literally was watching this the other day.
Cool.
Okay, we see where you lie.
Yeah, no, but then she
Did you tip her, mate?
Yeah. But then Candace Owen will like tweet about it and go like, I've just been demonetized on YouTube, all this sort of stuff. And I'm like that is part of her business model, is courting the controversy. But I mean, I don't have kids, and I know you do, Raph. But like, for me, YouTube has such brand safety concerns, and so much importance is based on the fact that you can have a YouTube Kids where you can sit down your kids in front of YouTube and they can watch Hot Wheels content from the Philippines on loop and whatever the hell it is.
Well, no, YouTube Kids, you know what it mostly is? It's like freemium model, because what a lot of it is like Paw Patrol snippets, but in a 90 minutes. It'll be like... I don't know the Paw Patrol characters. Paw Patrol is banned in my house.
It's a police officer.
It's fascist propaganda, so it's banned. It's completely banned.
Fair enough.
Banned in my house. But it'll be like little kind of 70-second snippets from Paw Patrol, just like tacked next to each other for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
As I guess some kind of like on-ramp to actually watching like paid for Paw Patrol on Netflix or wherever it is.
So would that be like Nickelodeon or whatever? Will they have spliced together all of that? Or is it some like ripped thing?
Well, YouTube Kids is like, there's very limited catalog.
Yeah.
There's like only, I mean, I don't actually know, but I'd say less than 100 odd different brands on there. It's like dozens of brands and these weird little snippets things put together. Some of them are full length that I assume they've done deals with directly. That's the YouTube Kids thing, but that's not real YouTube. My understanding, and my kids aren't old enough to know, everyone basically says like, just wait for them to grow up a little bit older when they're like 8, 9, 10, and they will just be on YouTube 4 hours a day or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's what...
And you're right, like God knows what
what they're watching.
So and this is all anecdata, but it's like my sister has 3 boys and they'll be like, we want to watch YouTube. And like my sister will put on YouTube and they will watch this like weird Southeast Asian people racing Hot Wheels cars for hours. And it's like, clearly there's a funnel there for these people because they're selling, well, they're not selling ads, but there must be a monetary split happening, right? So just in terms of going back to Rumble, right? If you think about Rumble as like the anti-woke YouTube, I think that it's going to have a place as like a cesspit to get the Candace Owens and the Glenn Greenwalds to say the most offensive shit imaginable.
Yeah.
But really, if we're talking about, again, long term, you just have to look at all of the broadcast TV stations in like structural decline. I don't go on 7, 9 or 10. Like, I don't even hardly ever go on 7 Plus or 9 now. Our front page of our TV is Netflix. Our second front page, we go Disney Plus, check. We check Amazon Prime, all that sort of stuff. YouTube is not there for us yet. Like, we're not going, oh, let's watch so-and-so on YouTube. But in the US, like, there are a lot of people who pay for, like, YouTube Pro or whatever it's called.
I pay for YouTube Premium. I think it's a must-have.
What do they have?
No ads.
Oh, right.
No,
okay.
and then, you know, some people... Every time we say that no one listens to YouTube music, we get shot down by audience.
Crazy.
It is technically the best deal you can get if you like using YouTube
I'd say
music.
Amazon Prime is probably the best deal you can get.
Amazon Prime is a good deal. It's hard to deny.
Yeah, people get mad at me because I have all of the streaming platforms, at like music streaming platforms.
I was about to say, do you have Apple Music?
Yeah, because I got Apple One. So I got Apple Music through Apple One. I got Amazon Prime, you know, because of the shopping. I have Apple One just because like it's the family plan and we need 2 terabytes.
The data and
yeah,
the cloud
exactly.
storage.
So you just happen to get it. YouTube, I have YouTube Premium, so I don't have the ads. I have that.
He pays for Apple One for the same reason that people subscribe to Glenn Greenwald on Rumble, because he's personally paying for Tim Cook to thank him for his logistics expertise.
Yeah, for the supply chain expertise. I mean,
really
absolutely
valuable.
phenomenal what they've done with their microprocessor and the system on a chip, man. Who would have thought?
But do you know, it's like so much time and energy is spent, like, not litigating is not the right word, but pulling your collar and being like, oh, this Rumble or oh, this like anti-woke thing, so-and-so. It's like, it doesn't matter.
No, Rumble can't possibly make money.
It doesn't matter.
But the YouTube model is advertising, right? Like,
Yes.
they make so much money off advertising. In order to make money off advertising, you have to have there's such a huge amount of scale. Ask Snapchat how well they're doing. Ask Pinterest how well they're doing off advertising. Even Reddit, like they do.
We do need to check it on Pinterest.
We do need to check
apparently they're still... Their market cap is still like $20 billion.
Is Down Round big on Pinterest? On the pinheads?
We've got it in our list of episodes. For 2 years we've had it there. We haven't done it. But
Sorry, only because I did a couple of stories about Pinterest when I was in London. The problem with Pinterest is that there's no way to turn the immense amount of eyeballs liking all of this stuff into an e-commerce funnel. That's the problem. It has not figured out a way to have a woman who goes, I want all of this stuff for my wedding, and she pins 600 things, whether it's a bridal dress or whatever. Yeah. They can't get in between the person making the thing and the Temu
That's so funny. I mean, imagine having that level of intent data. You have someone that's like, I have 600 expensive things for my wedding
that I want to buy.
I've told you that I want these.
And they can't create an e-commerce funnel that is successful enough because, like, naturally, imagine a world that's maybe affiliate marketing, right?
Yeah.
Where the woman goes, okay, well, I click on this confetti cannon or whatever the freak it is, and it takes me to Amazon Prime or Amazon, and Amazon then give like 1 or 2 cents back to
that's what they're doing with
Pinterest.
TikTok, basically.
Yeah.
What Amazon is doing, like, via TikTok, and, you know, they're plugging into the TikTok e-commerce model and whatnot.
That is really fun. And it feels like they've kind of, I mean,
they're making some money.
look, and the company is valued at like $30 billion something. So there's something there.
But my point is that even at that scale, it's very hard to build out an advertising engine because it's actually very hard to do, hence why only Google and Facebook have basically been able to do it. And Amazon, different kind of model, but you know. So like Rumble, there's no world where they can make enough money as a business off advertising. It's got to be through subscriptions and Twitch-like things, right?
And if there's going to be 50,000 freaks who want to, who want to pay a couple of dollars a month to listen to some moron rant on, and it's not just the right, it's the hard left as well. If people want that, it is there for them.
Jimmy Dore, if you want to hear Jimmy Dore go off about whatever.
But it's also horseshoe theory because they all the left wing people end up like becoming Trumpists.
They all go on. But I mean, I feel like that is, aside from receiving whatever money they get from foreign governments, which I'm sure is also happening. But that's also the deal where it's like, we see a business opportunity that's probably, is certainly smaller scale than YouTube, in the fact that YouTube's monetization demands, as you talked about, there's a certain level of content they can't allow because advertisers are going to get pissed off. We've seen what happened with X and Musk and whatever. There's a sizable audience, hundreds of thousands, millions of people listen to these people collectively. Let's get $10 a month from each of them. And it's not a mass media play.
But
maybe that's fine. We talk about it all the time. Like, it doesn't need to be a multi-billion.
You don't need to be a $3 trillion company. What's wrong with having a $10 million business?
That's right.
I'll go $1 million. I just give you $1 million.
Rumble can be an SMB. You know, what's wrong with Rumble being an SMB with 75 employees? They pay their salaries. They get leave.
Down round makes about $10 million a year, and we're happy.
Yeah, exactly. We've got good workers.
Is that your run rate? It's a $10 million run rate.
Yeah, that's right.
Unbelievable.
Right.
We should profile this for the AFR.
All off the record, please, mate.
The deal that kind of like opened my eyes to this sort of, the podcast space, which you guys obviously operate in, but like Joe Rogan gets paid X $million from Spotify to be
$250
over how many years or something?
It was many years.
Like Bill Simmons did the same, right? And it's like,
call her daddy.
If you think about Joe Rogan's thing with Trump, apparently it's broken all records with regards to podcast downloads.
I saw a dude on the train this morning, on the metro, watching it.
Wow, that's a signal. That's a signal. On the metro?
On the metro.
Interesting. God, he's going to win.
But also, exactly. He's going to get the key Gadigal demographic.
Yeah, exactly.
If only I'd seen someone watching Kamala and Call Her Daddy on the same metro, it might have been happening.
That would have been a key signal in the noise.
Yeah.
I'm really interested by this idea that, like, all of the new media stars, Rogan, Call Her Daddy, Bill Simmons, who have left the ESPNs of the world or left whatever of the world, they are still being snapped up by big mega corporations. They're just different big mega corporations. And I feel that's the same thing with, say, like John Mulaney, right, the comic.
Yep.
He's like talks to sign a big deal with Netflix to do like a weekly talk sort of show. So if I was to think about, like, people say all the time, we get the fall of CBS and we've got the fall of all of these, the ESPNs and that sort of stuff. It's just they're being replaced by a different group of mega corporations.
Well, yeah. And I think
they're seeing the value of content.
Well, I think it's kind of interesting to actually think about how Spotify's done it, because they made a big play about we're getting into podcasting, and we've talked about the business model where it's like, wouldn't it be great for people to be listening to Spotify a whole bunch for something that we don't have to pay 85 cents on the dollar to the record labels? Great. They tried to do the thing where it's like, we're going to be a podcasting powerhouse. We're going to buy, what was it?
Gimlet.
We're going to buy Gimlet.
That didn't do very well, did it?
No, it completely fucking failed. And like, we're going to create exciting podcast and iconic podcast shows, new true crime shit, new whatever. And they pretty quickly learned, obviously it's more art than science to get that stuff on the ground. So now they're in their second phase, which is
Rogan,
Call Her Daddy, the two biggest podcasts.
Just bring the already established audience.
It's already done. These guys have done the hard yards over however many years.
Yeah, we're not going to try to build our own.
That's it.
The other one was, so I found this out recently, apparently, like Mia Friedman's podcast empire is like the biggest in Australia.
Yep.
And that scared the shit out of me. I think that Mamma Mia being a podcast company that pumps out true crime, I like all of the top true crime podcasts. It's like called the Australian True. I'm going to get this wrong, but it's like the Australian True Crime Network.
Yeah,
it's like secretly owned by Mia Friedman.
Yeah,
and it's like, and my girlfriend, we were talking about, she was really into true crime, and we were on a big drive, and I said, one of the things you could do is we could listen to a big true crime about the mushroom poisoner, the mushroom killer, right? And I literally, like, on Spotify, mushroom poison. There's like 6 of different versions.
Yeah, there's so many.
ABC, Daily Mail, The Guardian. Yeah. And, like, the top one was Mia Freeman's Australian True Crime Network. And she did this interview, I think it was with us at the AFR, but she talked about, like, pretty shamelessly, like, this is the lane at which we can, make content that will make money. Because digital media is not making money at the moment, and so she's pivoted to true crime. Like, it's kind of bonkers. This is a woman who, like, redefined the kind of neo-feminist stuff in the, like, last decade for Australians, but now she's like, women love listening to the Mushroom Cook, like, 6-part documentary series.
Yeah, lurid stories of them being killed.
Yeah. Isn't that grim?
The true crime thing is because obviously, caveat, true crime has been as popular. Some form of true crime has been popular since people put pen to paper. Yeah. People love hearing about fucked up shit.
But not even pen to paper, mate. I suspect that there might have been some word of mouth going on.
Go back to the down round thesis back to the cavemen.
Yeah. Imagine probably some cave paintings, I'd say, of some true crime.
Can you guys also imagine if you guys, like, pivoted to true crime? You just start telling grisly stories but if you told, like an Ivan Milat.
What about, like, the Nissan CEO going, like, in a suitcase being flown back to, like, Lebanon to escape the Japanese authorities?
Yeah. So that's not lurid enough.
True.
So I had this idea with a friend of mine where we were talking about, like, what if the Financial Review did, like, a 6-part series of, like, the great white collar crime criminals in the past? Like, if you did, like, a 6-part series on Alan Bond, and you, like, interviewed all the people like Paul Barry and all the people that exposed the Alan Bond scandal, or like you did like you did a 6-part series about World Series cricket and how Kerry Packer like completely dominated them, or you did a 6-part series. And I actually think, again, I mean, we were talking about this before at the pub, but it's like, there is an audience out there who want to listen to, like, actually not completely new content, but just like a rehashing of the past that would actually tell it in a really beautifully narrative story way. I listened to this Mia Freeman true crime stuff, and it was like not very stimulating. It was just pure grisly. It was like this woman, and like she was in Missouri and she got murdered on a barge, and like what happened next? And it
I'm
was just like,
now.
no, but I think that that's what really makes me sad about it, is like I think that a lot of the true crime stuff, especially in Australia, is just.
But could AI do it?
Sure.
That's what I mean, right?
But could
I mean, I feel there's a ton. I mean, it's not just true crime. There's
that level.
There's a lot of podcasts like Down Round, for example, which are mostly about reading Wikipedia, and they put a bit of flair in, but at the end of the day, they are kind of reading the structural Wikipedia
history
article.
stuff.
But have you guys done an episode about these sort of AI podcasts and stuff?
We talked about.
We talked about it
because we used
a whole episode about it.
Yeah, we did because we did the Google Notebook LM stuff.
Yeah,
I mean the thesis there, and obviously this is the way Google's thinking about it, and I think it's true, is that they're not making something for entertainment.
No,
they have simple, and it's part of obviously a broader software suite that's about imbibing information and regurgitating it through AI in a million different forms. And they've realized, which is very true, is that there's a whole bunch of people where the way they receive information is 2 people talking about it on a podcast.
Yeah.
That is the way they learn things.
That's the podcast generator is that. You're supposed to dump a whole bunch of information in, and it's like, it can summarize it. It can turn it into dot points. It can make it a PowerPoint presentation. It can make it a podcast with 2 people talking about it or whatever, as opposed to like a commercialized thing. But you know that obviously 9 million people are right now, as we speak, trying to commercialize AI podcasts.
Yeah, so here's my question to you, right? So if I said to you, so my favorite podcast at the moment is The Rest is History, right? Which is like two guys, popular historians in the UK, and they talk for...
Tom Holland and what's the other guy?
Yeah, Tom Holland and... Oh my God, I forget the other guy.
The other guy.
The fat guy. Anyway, they will do like a 6-part series about the French Revolution or Napoleon or like, the Romans when they arrive in Britain. And I will listen to every minute because it's like headphones in, making food, like cleaning the house, whatever. Now, the question I have for you, I mean, and I don't know this, is the AI podcast game enough to be able to scan the sort of Nazis in like in occupied France series of like articles and then create like at the click of a button a similar enough conversation
the big
between
thing,
two
right?
people.
Because
No,
at
but
the
you
end-
like the people.
I think at the end of the day, it's the parasocial connection, right? And
Yeah.
maybe they can simulate that. Maybe it'll get to the point where like you have your preferences. I like hearing
AI James and
I-
AI
well,
Well,
Ralph.
I mean, people are making connections with AI girlfriends and boyfriends and partners. You know, like,
Can I? Oh, sorry, and this is
please.
off. Yeah, this
Go.
is off topic. But
Please.
like, do you believe that?
the AI girlfriend stuff.
Yeah.
well, you have to. The numbers suggest
bear it out.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. It just sounds like a fake story.
But-
like it sounds like the numbers bear it out, and then it's like if you look under the hood of the numbers, and it turns out it's like 6 dudes, and it's. I was.
Oh, you
on
think
a-
it's like a whale story? It's like one of those. It's like a power law thing. Like
There's
the
one
Candy
guy
Crush.
who's sending 9 million messages a day.
I hope it's not true. I
Well-
genuinely hope it's not true.
Oh, I mean, of
because-
course we hope it's not true because, as we've said before, if it's true, the birth rate ain't recovering.
Yeah.
No, I
But it's
think
just-
it's true. But the thing that, there was that big story, and this is I'm bringing the energy down dramatically. The New York Times did a feature last week about it, which was some kid in America, 14-year-old, had been talking to like AI girlfriend, which was like what's her name? The Game of Thrones.
Daenerys.
Daenerys. It was like a simulated Daenerys on character AI. Character AI, just for a reminder for people who maybe listen to our AI girlfriend episode, started by one of the guys who created the transformer model at Google. His great insight was like, wow, this can be a parasocial addiction for people. That could be good. But anyway, this guy, 14-year-old kid, got really obsessed with it. Eventually, he committed suicide. And the New York Times has all the chat logs with this.
Because what we're describing is like autistic people.
Well,
like
I mean,
it's like,
no,
like what we're describing is people who struggle to make social interactions.
Yeah, but
in
we've
real
created
life.
a whole generation of them, mate.
That's what I'm saying. But it's not good.
No,
Like I'm not saying it's like I worry that like okay. So if you take a step back and you say what caused us to have the demand to be there, the AI girlfriends or whatever.
yeah, alienation.
And I don't want to be like, oh, it's the chemicals in the water.
No,
And I don't wanna-
that is a down round thing.
but I don't want to also
It's the
not
red.
say.
It's the red dot on your laundry powder.
Yeah.
or your dishwashing
But
tablet.
it's also that thing of, that great thing of, okay, well, depression and anxiety didn't exist in the 60s and 70s because we didn't have a word for it. We didn't diagnose it. I refuse to believe people weren't depressed and anxious in the 60s and 70s, right?
Mark, you got into a fair bit of trouble for a tweet on this very topic.
And I'm about to get to ADHD. No, but I just what I think about is that like, do you think the device usage has and like putting out life online and spending 8 hours? I have my screen time on my phone is like 8 hours a day. It's not good.
No.
But I have probably an ability born out of the fact that I spent the first 15 years without a phone that I know how to put my phone down. Like I know how to do that. Is it just the fact that this next generation is being born into a digital world where online is offline and there's no difference? Or is it like, do you reckon there's chemical shit that's happening in our brain we're doing to kids?
I mean, there's
with
probably
this stuff.
There's probably dopamine stuff, but I think like if every one of your experiences have been mediated by a screen,
Yeah.
even if it's like organic human interaction, you're talking to people, but you're doing it mostly online, or at least let's say 50 to 75% online. Then you come in with something like a large language model that can simulate human speech relatively compellingly. Very easy to just replace that layer and replace what's behind it.
I don't think. I think it's less to do with something in the water.
It's just pure. It's just pure feedback.
Exactly. It's more to do with the fact that our brain
it's
evolved over
poke-
like
Yeah.
a million
pokies.
years.
It's literally fucking pokies.
No, it's and sugar and whatever. It's like our brain. We evolved in the savannah with another common Terran theme where we didn't have much sugar and we didn't have much fat and we didn't have that many people who smiled at us. Finding love was this big kind of torturous thing, and getting a compliment for your genius was few and far to come by. And like these are all important parts in making you a human. And then all of a sudden you can just friggin' open an app and you just get bombarded with all of those things while you're eating.
I reckon
while you're eating sugar.
I'd be getting compliments on the savannah, mate.
Yeah, but how many? Is it going to be like, your perfect partner or whatever telling you like how cool and good looking you are?
That's true. That's
Here's,
right.
but here's the one that schematically made sense to me when it was laid out by an AI person recently, which was like, and it was about
An
this.
AI person?
No, as in someone who worked in AI. You've been talking AI again, Mark.
Daenerys?
Yeah, exactly. No, I think this is probably right, and I think this is the concerning thing, and makes me sound like I'm like 45 when I'm actually 36. But it's like there is a
Clock's ticking,
tick,
mate.
tick, tick, tick. But there is a thing where it was like 2002. They did a study, and humans made 2,000 decisions in a day.
Okay.
Right? And they've done a study recently, similar study, same control. And just because of the use of the phone in your life, you make something like 60,000 decisions a day.
Yeah, I've heard that the window of like
if you
the
think
average
about
time
it,
of attention you spend on one thing is reduced dramatically when
Yeah.
they like monitor people's eyes.
But I think that makes sense, right? Like if you think of just if you remember what it was like to live in 2002, where you would just but like you just had far fewer decisions to make. Of course. Yeah. And that was also I think the phone is probably
That's because you're a teenager, mate. Actually, you know what you should get? This is one of the big Jeff Bezos theses where he's kind of like, when you're a CEO, your job is to make 2 high impact decisions per day. That's what we need to get into. No more screens.
Yeah, no more
just make
screens.
high impact decisions.
Yeah, but and like Barack Obama said something similar about being president. It was like I make six decisions a day, and any decision that came to me was because something my staff members couldn't decide. So like I literally only made 6 decisions in a day, and I think that that's the thing about.
That's the dream.
But I just think in terms of overloading your brain with either dopamine or lack of it, or like anxiety causing chemicals and that sort of thing, I think that we've gotten to a stage now where children are growing up and having just too much stimuli. And next step, I'm going to be like, that's the reason why we need to like homeschool our kids and blah, blah, blah. No, but it just weirds me out that that's sort of something to think. Like, it weirds me out that like we're getting to a stage now where people are saying, no, actually, an AI dog is good for loneliness. And I'm like, well, we just get him a dog. Like, how about you just? I was on a panel where they were talking about this. Well, what? Exactly.
Well, I mean, I've been paid out for this as well, being like, go to a bar and meet a member of the opposite sex.
That was the most controversial thing you've ever said on Down Around by user responses.
And it is hard, right?
Apparently nowadays, that's crazy.
But not everyone's an extrovert, Raph. And but that's like, we're getting to that point. Hannah, you know this. It's like one of the things in journalism that is like, I feel like my level up compared to a lot of my other peers is that like I like talking on the phone. It's like there are a lot of 25 to 35-year-olds who like freak the fuck out at their phone
classic.
calling.
Millennials don't. They be on their damn phone, but they can't be on the damn phone.
It's not a phone anymore. May as well. Notice Apple introduced a camera button before they introduced a pick up and hang up button.
How true that is.
Yeah.
How true that is.
It's deep.
That's a camera, mate.
That's why we have Apple one.
Why do we still call it a phone when it should just be called your eye camera?
No, I've always thought I was kind of, it's like just pick up the goddamn phone. I know that older journalists get frustrated about it, but the problem is obviously not getting better just because of the way that,
But the other one is, and this is the other thing that probably I'm bad at, it's like when someone's like, oh, we'll just duck around and knock on someone's door and say hello.
Oh, yeah. Well,
imagine doing that. Imagine not texting before. Exactly. Next thing you know,
popping by someone's house, yeah.
Yeah, just pop by.
I was in the area.
Knock on,
I would
say
love
hello.
to do that.
Well, even
like that was a thing 30 years ago that people would do.
Absolutely.
You would be sitting at home and someone would knock on your door
and
they'd pop by.
Well, it's the same. I'll tell you, there's even that in like the media. Like there is a generation of journalists who were accustomed, crime reporters, whatever, doing door knocks to come and say hello.
Knocks or whatever.
One come in and talk just straight. I can pick up the phone, but I wouldn't do that.
Exactly. There's a line.
You wouldn't knock on the door and put your foot in the door with the camera.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Today Tonight. You're saying bring back Today Tonight.
Well, I mean, it's a bit different when you have like a current affair crew behind you.
And you're doing like a chase
and
down
you're chasing
Wallara Municipal Court.
And you're chasing a dodgy tradie.
and you're chasing, a laundromat, and you're like, I put $50 into this coat fucking, and it's not there when I got it back.
I know the edit will have my back. They'll be the villain.
Can I ask you this though? So I said this to you earlier, and I really do believe it. One of the things that I don't like about tech coverage generally is that so much of it is biased towards dystopian. Like, I mean, it's kind of this idea that everything's bad.
We say that 30 minutes.
30 minutes into the conversation. So here's my question.
Yeah. Serotonin
Do
collapse.
you think, like, if you were to say the AI girlfriend story, just say the AI girlfriend story, do you think it is net good?
No.
Okay. I thought that it was going to be like you could say, okay, but like we're evolving towards something being better. Like, do you think that life is better now than it was in 20? You can do that, but I think that there is something that it solves. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it. Or are we just solving for our worst impulses?
Oh well, of course,
because we don't want to go. We don't want to go to the bar, or we don't want to knock on the door, or we don't want to do any of that because we're lazy.
Well, I don't even think it's that. It's just like engaged minutes, right? Like,
Well, I mean, you know,
it's like the human wants to engage, and so therefore companies will make things that make them engage because that makes them more money. I mean, there's good things about tech. There's good things about tech.
Plenty of good things.
There's plenty of great things about tech. Life
Gizmos,
expectancy was increasing until recently.
Yeah. Did you see that graph about the US where it's gone
Yeah.
like precipitously down, and it's sort of like kept creeping higher in like the Finlands of the world and all that sort of stuff?
They'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out.
But there are obviously a lot of benefits to, like, it is actually good to be able to get entertainment that you want to a level. Connection with people is
being able to
fantastic.
access every song in the history of music.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 2 clicks.
As well as like access to information is obviously
We
good.
know what happens when boomers got access to Spotify. It fried their fucking brains. Yeah. They actually, there was that crossover point where every boomer had like their CD collection, which had already replaced their vinyl collection.
It took my mum so long.
And they're being told, you got to get rid of all of it.
Yeah.
It's gone. Chuck it out.
Too
much.
And let us hope also that, there is some kind of environmental benefit. At the moment, it doesn't look like it's going that way to technology. There's lots of benefits. Information is one of them. In my opinion, the negatives are mostly around the social aspects.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that it's just it's a worrying thing to replace person-to-person interaction and communication with kind of some digitally mediated version of that. Especially when it comes to
not even
one's
mediated.
love life. Well, yeah, it's not even mediated. It's just
a digital
It's a replacement.
phantasm.
Well, yeah, especially when we get to AI stuff, when it's like we're replacing a human with a computer. That, to me, again, maybe I'm being a boomer, but replacing the thing that our entire society is based on, which is forming human connection with a partner,
Just wait.
with a computer.
But wait,
just maybe not great.
Just wait till you're on like a fucking colony ship going to Mars to live in Musk City, and you're on the ship for 3 years. You're going to want Daenerys from Game of Thrones to talk to, I think.
But is it like? And again, there's got to be a modulating aspect to all of this, right? Where actually it bends too far and then it swings back.
I don't know about that.
So, no, what's a good example? Like the Apple Vision Pro.
Yeah.
Right? They spend years on this thing and they put billions of dollars into it. And it just turns out people don't want to put that shit on their face.
Yeah.
Too
much friction.
And Google Glass was the same. They were like, actually, you know what? No. Like, the customer is always right. And they were like, you know what? I will have a watch and I will have a phone and I'll look at those two things as surfaces, but I don't like that shit in my face. And they're already talking about the Vision Pro being not discontinued, but they're basically stalling
They're
their
basically ending
development.
production.
Yeah, they're ending production.
And I think that there's a nice, like, that shows you that there is an element of human nature that can still rebel against like the unending march of progress.
Do you think that's rebellion? I think it's just like they didn't quite nail the engaged minutes, because I mean, I've got a VI headset and it's just a hassle to put on.
You bought it like 3 weeks ago, mate.
But I think that there are a few examples of this where the tech lords go, oh, everyone's going to be doing this. And then everyone goes, no, we won't. Because actually they vote with their feet. And it's like, so ChatGPT is going to be probably in history one of the greatest inventions in terms of products. Because it turned out there was actually, Google had been sort of stalled its development in terms of inquiring for information and being able to get information quickly. And it opened up a lane for ChatGPT to come along. But when it's like, oh, everything's going to be AI, I'm like, I don't know if it will. Like, I think that there will be a lot of pushback in terms of, like, we know and people know on the margins, there were always going to be freaks doing freakish things, whether it's Rumble or whether it's whatever. I think that the massive people in the middle of the bell curve are going to know that the people, like real people, the Ray Hadley people. It's like people are going to go, actually,
Ray Hadley people might be a little bit to the left.
Yeah. But I think that there's going to be this grappling of tech and going, you know what? I do know that having a beautiful dinner with my family where there are no devices, and we're going to, make sure that kids aren't on Instagram at 5 years old. Like, there was that great thing of like, Adam Mosseri, the head of Instagram, was like, we want to get 8 and 9-year-olds onto an 8 and 9-year-old Instagram kids. And then parents were like, no, we don't. Like, I know you think that that's where it's all going, but people just like voted with their feet that way. And I think sometimes that's the reason, if I go to the dystopian, utopian type thing in tech, I think sometimes there is like human nature prevails, without saying way too corny as that came out of my mouth.
I think human nature will prevail insofar as, like, I don't think they're making a conscious effort. I don't think that like, I mean, we were at the pub again before, and like I walked in and there's
Typical
like
story.
two
There were a few iPad babies in there.
just with like headphones on and iPads out. It's more about friction, right? People didn't want the Vision Pro because A, it's fucking expensive and annoying to put on. You know, yeah, the Instagram thing. Yeah.
Like parents will decide whether their kids are on Instagram.
But if every other 8 and 9-year-old is on Instagram, then they probably will be on Instagram. You know what I mean? It's just like a matter of just it's less people being like, I'm going to make a conscious because I don't want tech impacting my life, and more just like it wasn't convenient enough. The onboarding wasn't good enough.
You're kind of like golden handcuffs type person where like people's preferences are decided for them. Like, because
it's not their preferences are decided for them. Like, their preferences are innate, and like what tech companies are trying to do is like just work out where those innate preferences are. And like it turns out, like, yeah, if people were able to vote with their feet, then Character AI and Cherry.ai, I think it is. There was the AFR reported on that. The pet sitting CEO
was doing a girlfriend.
Like, these companies wouldn't have heaps of money.
His thing was red hot. It was like proper porn.
Yeah, it was proper porn. It was Character AI, but porn. Yeah.
Can I have a beer, by the way?
Yeah. I think the technology is...
I'm going to disrupt the flow of conversation by requesting on the beer.
No, please. Sorry. I think technology... this is going to go dark. Is an annihilating
This is the second time that you've taken... Is it going to be suicide again?
There's no suicide. There's no suicide. Oh, sorry.
Wow. James just opened 2 beers. One for Mark and one for himself.
Sorry, I was being a gracious host. You're just furniture to me, right? No, I think technology is an annihilating force. Everything that we've just talked about, you know, the indomitable human spirit, which I believe in to a certain extent. I do think all this stuff is 2 steps forward, 1 step back into eternity, right?
Sure.
Like the median.
But then, don't you think that 1 step back is regulating the worst, like us sort of heading towards doom? Like, I don't believe.
I don't think we're heading towards doom.
Yeah,
I want to make that clear. I don't think we're heading towards doom.
I've come across as like very negative, and you all know I love my gizmos.
I think that. If we look 100 years in the future, people are going to be having these same sorts of debates, except the human life that they're living at that point, which they're trying to revert to, will be so alien to our experience today, and probably include so many more, I don't even want to say digital experiences, like completely simulated, computer intensive, call it AI, call it virtual reality, call it whatever. I mean, it's impossible to imagine what 100 years in the future looks like, and what it means to be human is going to be recognizable, obviously, in the same way that we talk about fucking cavemen on the savannah. They had the same feelings we had.
Yes.
This
is the fundamental point. Humans aren't changing, I guess is my point. The human being isn't changing unless we start putting chips in.
We're always going to want connection and human experiences. It's just like what is going to be providing them may not be people anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that there's
maybe that's good.
The 2 step forward, 1 step back thing suggests to me that there is oh, wait a sec, stove too hot, stop touching the stove. And I think that there's if I were to say to you now, you know, what if we were to idolize, what part of history do we say that it was actually the balance?
Good, I know. Right? This is what I was going to say.
1999. Is it because you were 11 years old?
Yeah, well,
and 1600, obviously not.
Yeah, exactly.
The world hopefully has gotten less violent, despite the fact we've created machines that can kill people like much more quickly and whatnot.
Yeah, I think that potentially, our nostalgia for the past and a nostalgia for a time at which, say, devices didn't exist, or you know, girls weren't killing themselves after being pro-anorexic on Instagram. Like, I think that is like, it's an easy impulse to sort of suggest, oh, well, it was better in 2005. Is it because you were at high school in 2005 and you thought
the music was objectively better between 2006 and 2009?
Anyone notice it wasn't a really good best picture winner at the Oscars after Gladiator? Yeah. Did you notice that?
Oh, but what a movie.
Yeah.
That wasn't very convincing, right? No,
Gladiator 2 is not getting involved, I'm hearing.
Remember when I
heard Denzel's got Oscar buzz.
This is the worst possible guy you could be.
I don't know what that means.
Denzel has Oscar buzz to Raph just comes as like white noise. There is a sense of, I mean, you know, the current wave of like millennial nostalgia for like
Charlie XCX vibe, you mean?
No, that probably feeds into it. But like, you know, there's this kind of elite elder millennial way of thinking about stuff where it's like, you know, we were on an internet that was pure.
Yeah.
And like, you know, younger Gen Xers as well. It's like back we were doing this when we were talking on our Blizzard episode last week, where we were like all these guys fantasizing about when World of Warcraft was real communities and people actually like meeting their wife and meeting their friends, organizing raids and shit before it was all auto-matched algorithmic stuff. And imagine trying to explain meeting your wife when one of you was a fucking goblin to someone from 50 years ago.
And saying that this is real romance.
This is real organic
proper.
experience.
Yeah.
That's obviously absurd.
No, you guys have convinced me. It's all fine.
It's
No,
fine.
it's not all fine.
It's not, but I
think
it's all relative.
It's all
Yeah,
relative. It's all right.
no.
Because at the end of the day, if we end up in VATs and like literally all of our communication is just like purely simulated, then presumably that will be like physically like the least violent time. You
But
know?
also not just that. I think
can only, like,
but
psychologically
again, doesn't
abuse
this show
people.
you the fact that here's one I'll accept with you. I find it really weird, and again, it's just by anecdote. I find it really weird that kids sit in front of an iPad with headphones on at a restaurant. Like that's really bad. It's objectively bad. But then people will say to me who have children, but you don't know what it's like. It keeps them quiet. We get to be able to have a few drinks and doing all that sort of stuff.
Otherwise, they'd be with babysitters or whatever. Yeah.
I think
There'll be babies building blocks and like using their imagination and
yeah, exactly. But I think that I don't.
Minecraft is very similar to that, right? And watching Minecraft on YouTube, how can it be so different?
I don't know if tech has shown its ability to railroad humans into experiences that they don't innately want, which is probably what I'm saying about how I don't think we're going to end up as sort of floating brains in vats or like lying down catatonic. What's the movie? Inception, right? Where like you need to be put to sleep to dream, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. I think that there's enough in the last, say, 30 years worth of accelerated tech advancement to suggest that actually what people want is not dopamine hits via digital experiences. It's actually like the opposite. Like it's actually like going to the ashram or like having the amazing dinner in an Italian square or whatever it is. I mean, I sound like a fucking idiot. But
no. I agree. I want that shit.
But I actually
you
think
want to go to the ashram?
I want to go to Hajj. I want to go to all of that shit.
But
Hajj?
I just genuinely believe that all the stuff around the AI girlfriends and stuff is on the margins, and in the middle there is behavior that
Well, no, I see what I would, because I think something that's really deeply disrupted is that we've gone through an insanely accelerated mediation of human experience, that's called, over the past 30, 40 years. And, the internet was super disruptive in that regard. On an accelerated timeline, far more than other communication advances, at least in terms of speed.
I think the news feed was incredibly disruptive to the human mind.
Yeah, no, I think it was too. But I think if we zoom out and we think about technology not as what they're doing in fucking Menlo Park or what the fucking VCs on Sand Hill Road are doing, and you think about, let's go back.
Here we go.
The human mind prior to the fucking industrial revolution and after. Talking about these big moments, which we kind of lose sight of because things are moving so quickly.
Are you going to mention 9/11?
I'm not going to mention 9/11. No, I'm actually not going to mention 9/11. That's the end of that sentence.
But the large cataclysmic changes were like, the city, right? Being shoved.
First one, growing a thumb.
The
the most important technology end of the day. We got thumbs.
Then language.
Language.
I'd say language
agriculture.
is on par.
Agriculture
was pretty big.
Agriculture is the big one.
Yeah. Agriculture was the biggie.
Learning how to cycle grains and shit. The guy that figured that out, hats off to you.
Yeah.
Steve Jobs of the age of the world.
Yeah. And then like the engine.
Yeah, exactly. Industrial revolution, flight. I mean, the flight is small. It's peanuts.
Trains. Yeah, trains were a big deal.
Can I say what are your top 5 tech advancements in history?
Top five.
We're going to ignore fire because I don't think that's a technology.
Do you think thumbs is a tech advancement?
Thumbs is a tech. We had nothing to do with it.
Yeah,
but it was
chimpanzees aren't doing that well. Orangutans have a thumb and like they are in trouble.
Compare a chimp to like anything else. That's not us. We are an outlier. Compare chimps, bonobos.
What about dolphins
orangutans.
and octopus? That's pretty good.
Imagine what an octopus. Octopus is interesting. No, octopus are really limited by the fact they live for like 15 minutes. But if a dolphin had thumbs, we'd be in trouble.
I've sat here for the last 20 seconds, like zoning out because I'm like, Mark, what's my fucking top 5? I think fire's top 5.
Yeah, the fire isn't an invention, mate. It happens.
What?
It's a natural phenomena.
But
it's a chemical reaction. I suppose chemical reactions can be a technology.
I think fire's top 1.
No, but they didn't invent that.
It's a chemical reaction in the same way that the engine is a chemical reaction.
The capturing of fire.
No, but that's a piston.
Light's
heat. Not a what?
Electricity.
No, what I'm saying is light and
God
heat.
is the ultimate innovator. Is that where you're going? Oh, I didn't realize I was going to go down that path.
Okay. Down Round is the #1 Catholic podcast in Australia. Hey, Raf.
Hey, James.
Did you know that you can get an extra episode of Down Round every single week on top of the one that you're already getting?
Yeah, I knew that.
Well, yeah, obviously you know, but the person is, I'm using you as a vessel to explain.
Sorry, as I'm the listener. No, go on, tell me more, James. How much does it cost?
A mere $7 a month, Raf.
Okay, where do I go to find out more about this?
You go to downround.net.
Okay, I want it.
Well, I'm sure you do.
I feel like I'm missing out by not having it.
Exactly. No ads. Second episode per week, and a few other little goodies that come in down the pipeline as well. Head to downround.net
Downround.net.
and sign up to Downround Premium.